The dawn never came. Instead, the horizon cracked open like glass under a hammer, spilling molten light across the ruins of New York. The air was thick with ash and the metallic tang of blood. Somewhere in the distance, a building groaned before collapsing into itself, sending a shock wave of dust through the skeletal streets. Captain Marvel hovered above the wreckage, her eyes scanning the devastation below. Every second mattered now. Every heartbeat was a countdown. Status, her voice cut through the comms, sharp and urgent. Bad, came Rocket's reply, static-laced. And getting worse. He's moving. They all knew who he was. Thanos. The Mad Titan had been silent for the first 2 days of the war, letting his armies grind the Avengers and their allies into the dirt. But now, on the third and final day, he was coming himself. And when Thanos moved, planets died. Beneath the shattered remains of Stark Tower, Steve Rogers tightened the straps on his shield. His uniform was torn, his face streaked with grime, but his eyes burned with the same unyielding fire they had on the day he first picked up the shield. Beside him, Natasha Romanoff reloaded her pistols with mechanical precision. "We're not going to get another shot at this," she said quietly. Steve nodded. "Then we make it count." The ground trembled. From the north, a column of smoke rose into the sky, twisting like a serpent. Through the haze, the outline of something massive emerged. A warship, black as the void, descending with the slow inevitability of a guillotine. "Eyes up." Sam Wilson's voice rang out over the comms. "We got incoming." The ship's belly split open, and the first wave poured out. Chitauri, Outriders, and something new. Hulking, armored beasts with molten eyes and jagged blades fused to their arms. "Those aren't in the playbook," Rocket muttered. "There now," Natasha replied, firing the first shot. The battle ignited instantly. Sam dove through the air, his wings slicing through smoke as he unleashed a barrage of missiles into the enemy ranks. Rocket perched on Hulk's shoulder, firing plasma bolts into the beast's faces. Hulk roared, swinging a chunk of concrete the size of a car into a cluster of Chitauri, sending them flying like ragdolls. Steve moved like a storm, shield flashing as he deflected blaster fire and slammed into the enemy lines. Every strike was deliberate, every motion fueled by the knowledge that this was the last fight. Above them, Captain Marvel streaked toward the warship, her body a comet of golden light. She tore through its hull like paper, explosions blooming in her wake. But even as the ship began to fall, another shadow loomed behind her. Thanos. He stepped from the smoke, his armor gleaming, the infinity gauntlet clutched in his left hand. The stones pulsed with a sickening light, each beat in sync with the pounding in every hero's chest. "You've fought well," Thanos said, his voice carrying effortlessly over the chaos. But all things end. Carol didn't wait for him to finish. She hit him like a meteor, the impact shaking the ground for miles. The two of them crashed through the remains of a skyscraper, glass and steel raining down like deadly confetti. Steve saw his chance. Avengers now. The team surged forward, every hero converging on the Titan. Hulk slammed into his side, Natasha fired a volley of explosive rounds, and Rocket launched a plasma grenade that detonated at Thanos' feet. For a moment, it looked like they might actually have him. Then the gauntlet flared. A shockwave erupted, hurling them all back. Buildings crumbled, the ground split open, and the sky itself screamed. Somewhere in the chaos, Clint Barton dragged himself to his feet, clutching a small, battered case. Inside was their last hope, a device designed by Stark before he fell on day 2. A weapon that could, in theory, strip the gauntlet of its stones. But it had to be placed directly on Thanos' arm. Clint's eyes met Steve's. No words were needed. They moved as one. Steve charged first, shield raised, drawing Thanos' attention. Hulk came from the left, smashing into the Titan's ribs. Natasha darted in low, firing at the gauntlet's joints. And Clint ran straight through the fire, the case clutched to his chest. Thanos saw him. With a flick of his wrist, the Titan sent a wave of telekinetic force hurtling toward the archer. Clint was lifted off his feet, the case tumbling from his grasp. Time slowed. Carol, blood on her lip, dove for the case. Her fingers brushed it. A beam of violet energy slammed into her side, sending her crashing into the rubble. The case hit the ground, skidding to a stop at Thanos' feet. He looked down at it, then up at them. You think you can take what is mine? The gauntlet flared again, brighter this time. The air grew heavy, the light dimmed, and the sound of the battlefield faded into a low, suffocating hum. Steve staggered forward, every muscle screaming. "We're not here to take it," he said, voice raw. "We're here to end you." Thanos smiled, and then the world exploded in light. The light faded slowly, like the last flicker of a dying star. Steve Rogers pushed himself up from the rubble, ears ringing, vision swimming. The battlefield was unrecognizable, a wasteland of shattered steel, burning craters, and bodies, friend and foe alike. The air was thick with smoke, and somewhere in the distance, the faint, rhythmic thump, thump, thump of something massive moving closer. It wasn't footsteps. It was a heartbeat. Thanos emerged from the haze, the gauntlet still glowing, each infinity stone pulsing in time with that terrible rhythm. His armor was scorched, a deep gash ran across his cheek, but his eyes burned with the cold certainty of a predator who knows the kill is inevitable. Carol Danvers lay half-buried under debris, her breathing ragged. Hulk was on one knee, blood dripping from his mouth. Natasha was dragging herself toward her pistols, one arm limp at her side. And Clint was gone. Steve's stomach twisted. He scanned the wreckage until he saw movement. Clint, crawling, one leg bent an unnatural angle, still reaching for the case. "Stay down," Thanos said, his voice low but carrying across the battlefield. "You've earned your rest." Steve spat blood. Not yet. He charged. The shield met the gauntlet in a clash that sent shockwaves through the ground. Sparks flew, metal screamed, and Steve felt the bones in his arm strain under the force. Thanos shoved him back effortlessly, sending him skidding across the dirt. Before the Titan could press the advantage, a blur of red and gold streaked in. War Machine, his armor battered but still airborne. Rhodey unleashed everything he had left. Missiles, repulsors, shoulder cannons. The blast lit up the smoke like a storm of fireflies. When the dust cleared, Thanos was still standing. From above, Sam Wilson dove, wings folding as he slammed into Thanos' back, driving twin energy blades toward the gauntlet arm. The Titan caught one blade mid-strike, twisting, and hurled Sam into the wreckage of a collapsed bridge. "Enough," Thanos growled. The Power Stone flared. A wave of violet energy erupted, flattening everything in its path. Buildings crumbled, vehicles flipped, and the ground split open like a wound. Steve barely managed to raise his shield in time, the force driving him to one knee. Somewhere in the chaos, Rocket scrambled toward Clint, firing wildly at anything that moved. "Get up, Legolas! We're not done yet." Clint coughed, blood on his lips. "The case." Rocket grabbed it, tucking it under his arm. "Guess I'm a delivery guy now." He bolted toward Steve, weaving through enemy fire, leaping over rubble. But Thanos saw him. The Titan extended his hand, the space stone glowing. Rocket froze mid-air, suspended like a puppet on invisible strings. "Small," Thanos said, almost amused, "but persistent." Before he could crush him, a beam of pure scarlet energy slammed into Thanos' side, forcing him to drop Rocket. Wanda Maximoff stepped from the smoke, her eyes blazing, her hands crackling with chaos magic. "You took everything from me," she said, her voice trembling with fury. Thanos tilted his head. "I don't even know who you are." "You will." The battlefield erupted again as Wanda unleashed a torrent of energy, wrapping around Thanos like chains. The Titan strained against it, the gauntlet flaring, but for the first time, he seemed slowed. "Now!" Steve shouted. Rocket tossed the case to him. Steve caught it, snapping it open to reveal the device. A sleek, silver clamp lined with Stark tech, humming with unstable power. He ran. Every step felt like a lifetime. The ground shook, Debris rained down, and the roar of battle faded into the pounding of his own heart. He reached Thanos just as the Titan broke free of Wanda's hold. Steve leapt, slamming the device onto the gauntlet. It locked in place with a hiss, lights flashing red. Thanos looked down at it, then up at Steve. "You think this will save you?" Steve didn't answer. He just held on. The device whined, the lights turning from red to white. The gauntlet began to tremble, the stones flickering. And then, the reality stone flared. The device dissolved into smoke in Steve's hands. Thanos smiled. "Your reality is mine to command." He swung the gauntlet, the blow catching Steve across the chest and sending him flying. The shield shattered on impact, fragments spinning through the air. Steve hit the ground hard, the wind knocked from his lungs. He tried to rise, but his body refused. Above him, Thanos raised the gauntlet high. "This," the Titan said, "is the last breath." A blinding light erupted from the east. Every head turned as a figure stepped through the glow, tall, cloaked in shadow, carrying a weapon that hummed with ancient power. Thanos' smile faltered. "You," he said. The figure lifted their head, revealing eyes that burned like twin suns. "Me," they replied. The battlefield froze. Even the Chitauri stopped mid-charge, their alien eyes flicking toward the figure stepping through the blinding light. The glow faded just enough to reveal the silhouette, tall, broad-shouldered, a long cloak whipping in the wind. In his right hand, a weapon unlike anything the Avengers had seen, a double-bladed spear forged from a metal that seemed to drink in the light around it. Thanos' jaw tightened. "You were dead." The figure's voice was calm, almost amused. "I was. You should have made sure I stayed that way." Steve, still on one knee, blinked through the haze. "Is that?" "Yeah," Natasha breathed, eyes wide. "It's him, Adam Warlock." The last time they'd seen him, he'd been consumed in the Nova Star implosion during the Battle of Xandar. No body, no signal, just gone. And yet here he was, walking toward Thanos like the war around them didn't exist. The Titan took a step forward, the gauntlet humming. "You think you can change what's already begun?" Adam tilted his head. "I don't think. I know." He moved. One moment he was standing still, the next he was a golden blur, his spear clashing against the gauntlet with a sound like a thunderclap. The impact sent a shockwave ripping through the battlefield, hurling Chitauri into the air and shattering what was left of the nearby skyscrapers. Thanos staggered back, not far, but enough for the Avengers to see something they hadn't in 3 days. He bled. Carol was the first to recover. She shot into the air, flanking Adam's assault with a barrage of photon blasts. Hulk roared, charging in from the side, smashing into Thanos' ribs. For the first time, the Titan was on the defensive. But he wasn't beaten. With a snarl, Thanos slammed the time stone, and the world lurched. The air thickened, colors bled into each other, and the Avengers felt their movements slow to a crawl. Adam's eyes flared. Not today. He drove the spear into the ground, releasing a pulse of golden energy that shattered the time distortion like glass. "Moo!" Steve barked, rallying the team. Natasha vaulted over debris, firing at the gauntlet's joints. Sam swooped in low, slicing at Thanos' legs with his wing blades. Rocket scrambled up Hulk's back, firing point-blank into the Titan's face. Every hit mattered. Every second counted. And then Adam struck again, a clean, brutal slash across the gauntlet's wrist. Sparks flew, and for a heartbeat, when the stones, the Mind Stone, flickered, Thanos roared, backhanding Adam with enough force to send him crashing through 3 layers of rubble. The Titan's gaze swept the battlefield, landing on Clint, still crawling toward cover. "You," Thanos said, striding toward him. Steve moved to intercept, but the Titan raised the Power Stone and unleashed a blast that sent the captain tumbling into the wreckage. Clint looked up, defiant even through the pain. "Do it, but you're not walking away from this." Before Thanos could strike, the ground beneath him erupted. A massive hand, stone and steel fused together, shot up, grabbing his leg. From the crater rose Korg, battered but grinning. "Miss me, mate." Behind him, Valkyrie descended on her winged steed, sword drawn, cutting through the Chitauri ranks like a storm. The battlefield was shifting again. Adam reappeared, blood on his lip, spears spinning in his hands. We end this now. Thanos' eyes narrowed. You end nothing. The gauntlet flared, all 6 stones igniting at once. The sky turned black, the ground split open, and a deafening roar filled the air as reality itself began to tear apart. Heroes and enemies alike were lifted from the ground, pulled toward a swirling vortex of light and shadow opening above them. Steve grabbed a piece of rebar, holding on with everything he had. Natasha clung to a shattered wall. Rocket wrapped his arms around Hulk's neck. And in the center of it all, Adam Warlock and Thanos locked eyes, neither willing to yield. Adam lunged. Thanos caught the spear mid-thrust, the two of them straining against each other as the vortex grew, swallowing the battlefield piece by piece. You can't stop me, Thanos growled. Adam's voice was steady. I don't have to stop you. I just have to hold you here. The vortex roared louder, pulling them both towards Heart. Steve's voice cut through the chaos. Adam, don't. But it was too late. Adam shoved with everything he had, driving both himself and Thanos into the swirling void. The light swallowed them, and then they were gone. The battlefield fell silent. The vortex closed with a sound like a dying breath, leaving only smoke, rubble, and the stunned faces of those who remained. Carol hovered above the ruins, scanning the sky. Where did they go? No one answered. The war between worlds. The silence after the vortex closed was worse than the battle. No gunfire, no roars, just the crackle of distant flames and the groan of collapsing steel. The Avengers stood among the ruins, breathing hard, their eyes fixed on the empty space where Adam Warlock and Thanos had been. Carol broke the stillness. We can't assume they're gone. Steve, leaning on a piece of twisted rebar, shook his head. They're not. That thing wasn't a kill. It was a door. Somewhere else. Adam hit the ground hard, rolling across jagged black stone. The air here was thin, cold, and tasted of iron. Above him, the sky was a swirling mass of crimson clouds, lit from within by flashes of green lightning. Thanos landed a few meters away, his boots cracking the stone beneath him. He looked around, a faint smile tugging at his lips. You've brought us to the void between, he said. A place where time and space mean nothing. Clever, but fatal. Adam rose, spear in hand. If it keeps you from the stones, it's worth it. Back on Earth, Natasha was already moving. She pulled a portable scanner from her belt, its display flickering with static. I'm picking up residual energy from the vortex. If we can trace it. Rocket hopped onto a chunk of rubble, peering over her shoulder. Trace it? Lady, I can ride it. But I'm going to need Stark's old quantum rig and about a gallon of luck. Carol's eyes narrowed. Then we get it. Valkyrie, Sam, sweep the perimeter. Find survivors. We regroup in 10. In the void between. The ground shifted under Adam's feet, the black stone rippling like liquid. Shapes began to rise from it. Twisted, half-formed creatures with too many eyes and mouths that whispered in voices not their own. Thanos didn't even look at them. The void feeds on conflict. It will make you see what you fear most. Adam's grip tightened on his spear. Then it's about to choke. He lunged, striking the first creature through the chest. It dissolved into smoke, but 2 more took its place. Thanos moved among them like a shadow, the gauntlet flaring with each strike, tearing the creatures apart with casual ease. You can't win here, Adam said between blows. Thanos caught his spear mid-swing, twisting it from his hands. I don't need to win here. I just need to survive long enough for the stones to call me back. He drove a fist into Adam's ribs, the impact sending him skidding across the black stone. Earth. Steve watched as Rocket and Natasha worked over the battered remains of Stark's quantum rig. Sparks flew, smoke curled from its circuits, but slowly, the machine began to hum. Tell me you can make it work, Steve said. Rocket grinned without looking up. Cap, I can make anything work. Question is, will it blow us all to atoms in the process? Not an option, Steve replied. The void between. Adam staggered to his feet, blood on his lip. You're not leaving this place. Thanos tilted his head. You think you can hold me here forever? You'll break before I do. Adam's eyes flare gold. Then I'll break. He slammed his palms into the ground. Golden light erupted outward, forming a dome around them. The creatures shrieked and dissolved, the crimson sky dimming to black. Thanos tested the barrier with the gauntlet. The stone sparked, but the dome held. Earth. The quantum rig roared to life, a swirling portal forming above it. Natasha's scanner beeped wildly. That's it. That's the signature. Carol stepped forward. Then we're going in. Steve looked at the battered team. Hulk limping, Sam's armor scorched, Valkyrie's blade chipped. We all go. This ends today. The void between. Thanos paced inside the dome, his eyes locked on Adam. You've trapped us both. Noble and foolish. Adam didn't answer. His focus was on the barrier, reinforcing it with every ounce of power he had left. Then the air shimmered. A second portal began to form inside the dome, its edges crackling with familiar blue light. Thanos' smile returned. They're coming for you. Adam's gaze hardened. No, they're coming for you. The portal widened, and through it stepped Steve Rogers, shield fragments strapped to his arm, Carol Danvers glowing like a star, and the rest of the battered Avengers. The final battle was no longer just for Earth. It was for everything. The last breath. The void between trembled. The dome of golden light Adam Warlock had forged was cracking, thin lines of darkness spiderwebbing across its surface. Each fracture pulsed with the sickly glow of the infinity stones, the gauntlet's power pressing against it like a tidal wave. Steve Rogers tightened the straps on what was left of his shield. Carol Danvers hovered above the ground, her aura flaring brighter than ever. Natasha, Sam, Hulk, Valkyrie, Rocket, all of them stood in a loose circle around Thanos, their bodies battered, their eyes locked on the Titan. This was it. Thanos' voice was calm, almost conversational. You fought well, but you've delayed the inevitable. Adam's spear spun in his hands. The inevitable is overrated. The dome shattered. The explosion of force hurled everyone back, the black stone beneath them splintering. The void's crimson sky roared, lightning tearing across it as if the realm itself was watching. Thanos stepped forward, the gauntlet raised. All 6 stones blazed, their combined light so bright it burned shadows into the ground. Carol struck first, a streak of gold slamming into the Titan's chest. The impact drove him back a step, but he caught her by the throat mid-flight and hurled her into the air. She twisted, righted herself, and dove again. Steve charged from the left, shield fragments deflecting a blast from the Power Stone. Hulk came from the right, roaring, his fists hammering into Thanos' side. The Titan absorbed it all, his strikes precise, devastating. Every blow from the gauntlet was like a meteor impact, sending shockwaves through the void. Rocket darted between the chaos, planting small StarTech charges on the ground. Keep him busy, he yelled. Natasha slid under a swing from Thanos, firing point-blank into the gauntlet's joints. Sparks flew, and for a heartbeat, the reality stone flickered. Adam saw it. He lunged, spear aimed for the gauntlet's wrist. Thanos caught the blade, but this time Adam didn't pull back. He pushed forward, golden energy flooding the weapon, forcing the Titan to brace. Now, Adam shouted. Rocket hit the detonator. The charges erupted in a chain of blinding explosions, the ground beneath Thanos collapsing into a chasm of molten light. The Titan stumbled, his footing lost for the first time. Carol slammed into him from above, driving him to one knee. Hulk grabbed his arm, straining against the gauntlet. Steve joined him, every muscle screaming as they tried to force it down. The Mind Stone flared, a psychic wave blasting through their skulls. Steve's vision blurred. Hulk roared in pain. Carol faltered. Thanos rose, towering over them. You cannot kill me. Adam stepped forward, his voice steady. We don't have to. He drove the spear into the gauntlet's center. The void erupted. Golden light poured from the weapon, wrapping around the stones, binding them in chains of pure energy. Thanos roared, straining, the gauntlet's metal warping under the pressure. Carol grabbed the spear's shaft, adding her power to Adam's. Steve pressed his shattered shield against the gauntlet, forcing it closed. Hulk's massive hands clamped over Thanos' wrist. Natasha and Sam fired everything they had into the stones themselves. The light grew blinding. Thanos' voice broke into a snarl. "If I fall, I take you all with me." The Power Stone detonated, sending a shockwave through the void. The realm began to collapse, the crimson sky folding in on itself. Adam met Steve's eyes. "Get them out." Steve shook his head. "Not without you." Adam smiled faintly. "You will, because this is the last breath." He unleashed everything. The spear's light became a sun, swallowing Thanos, the gauntlet, and Adam himself. The Titan's roar was cut short as the stone shattered, fragments dissolving into nothing. The collapse accelerated, the void tearing apart. Carol grabbed Steve, hauling him toward the still-open quantum portal. Hope scooped up Rocket and Natasha. Valkyrie's steed dove through the chaos, Sam clinging to its side. They leapt through the portal just as the void imploded. Earth. The Avengers tumbled onto the cracked streets of New York. The portal snapped shut behind them, leaving only silence. No Thanos. No Adam. No stones. Steve stood slowly, looking at the empty sky. Carol landed beside him. "It's over." Steve didn't answer. He just stared at the horizon, where the first rays of dawn were breaking through the smoke. Somewhere, in a place beyond time, a single golden spark drifted in the dark. It pulsed once, twice, and was gone.